Hi everyone, today I wanted to walk you through how I built this cool farmhouse style accent wall in my master bedroom.
So let's start with a shot of the finished product. I really love having clean lines, sharp clean lines, and when you're working with a really big wall, you want to have lines that draw the eye in different directions. Before you get started, you want to have a vision of what you're going to do on that wall. If you want to check out Pinterest, other YouTube videos, something else online that inspired you, that's kind of where I start, and then I start putting together in my head what I want it to look like. So in this case, I took a piece of printer paper, started sketching down some ideas, found one that was elegant enough to where I liked it, and I could do it myself. So what do you need for a project like this? Luckily, accent walls are relatively easy to do. You see a ton of them online with the typical DIYers. For these, I basically just use liquid nails, which is glue that holds everything in place against the wall. If you have a nail gun by chance, that works really well. And then of course you'll need a miter saw or a jigsaw to cut the wood. So in this project, I had a 3-inch shelf go across the top. So what you see in this photo is me getting prepared to level that piece and then mark all of the vertical pieces that are going to be against the wall. In this project, I had 7 pieces that go across the wall, and if you use an odd number, a quick little trick is you'll have that middle piece directly center of the wall. So I custom built these brackets that you see at the top out of wood, just because I wanted them to match the wood element and be able to paint them more easily. But they also needed to provide structural support for that shelf. So I'll show a close-up here in just a second of what they look like. But they needed to hold weight because that's the purpose of a shelf. So here are the close-ups of the brackets that I built out of wood. You can pick these up at any hardware store for a couple bucks. Before you start securing things to the wall, make sure that your measurements are tight. Are those pieces equidistant from each other? And take a couple steps back and visually, look at everything, eyeball everything. Does it look good? Now everything's starting to come together. We have those 7 vertical pieces in, totally parallel and level. And now here's the tricky part. How do we get a 12-foot shelf run across the top? And then how do we get those diagonal pieces cut so that they can fit as precisely as possible, be parallel to each other, and again, create that effect of drawing the eye to both sides of the room, down the middle, so that we have a finished design. So one trick for getting this shelf up, it's actually 3 different 4-foot pieces, and I used a screw in the back of each, diagonal screw, so that the pieces join together to become one. From there, it's the same process. I'm using liquid nails to secure it to the wall, and I'm actually doing a vertical screw from the top down into the bracket so that it holds really, really tightly. And then I'm sanding any area where the wood connects to each other so it's a very smooth finish. Now on to the tricky part. These diagonal pieces are not easy. So one trick that I used was I took the full piece of wood, laid it diagonally in the exact position that I wanted with duct tape, and then took a pen and marked exactly where I needed to cut against the vertical pieces of wood. And then I'm checking measurements throughout the process. Is it the same measurement from where the top piece meets the bottom piece on the left, and then same thing on the right? Is it the same measurement at the middle as well? After that, I can be really certain that I got all the measurements correct, and we can move on to prepping for the paint job. And what you see here at each of the junctions where the wood comes together and the wood meets is a caulking and sanding that has happened as well, so that everything looks really tight and it's going to look really smooth under the paint job that we're about to do. Here's another shot of it. You can see the lines are starting to look really clean, and I'm excited to get it painted. Now we have everything taped off, ready for the paint job. If you have a spray paint machine, I highly recommend that you use that. It requires a little bit more prep work to avoid the overspray. In this case, I just used a roller and a brush. Takes a little bit longer, but you know, the finished product is essentially the same. And here's the finished product. Let me know what you guys think.